the Facebook world. I hope that you enjoyed the interview that Dr. Rashay and I just did. Mike didn't get to hear this, but in September, so Rashay's mom and dad were involved in a terrible accident in July, and her mom didn't make it, which was horribly tragic to lose your mom, and her child care, and her mom worked in the practice. So all of that happened, and her dad was in critical condition for a long time in July. And Sheree and her team leaned on their systems, and in September had their biggest month they've ever had in practice, did 71 new patients, over 1,000 adjustments, and over $90,000. And when I was interviewing her, I'm like, what was that from? And she's like, team and systems. I'm like, yeah, sister, right? So let's talk about the importance of systems and team, because you're like a master at that. And how does all of that, like, what can people expect to learn about team and growing their business at the Mastermind?
Yeah, so the big learning that the attendees are going to take away is that transitioning from a business that depends on you to a business that's independent is a throttle. It's not a switch. And I believe most entrepreneurs, most business owners go into the belief that, I'll start a chiropractic practice, and one day it'll have its own legs. One day I'll be profitable. One day, all of a sudden the business will work on its own, and we never get there. And I'll tell you the quick analysis to see if you're stuck or not. If you have been trying to hustle and grind through your business for more than 1 year, you've proven the hustle and grind doesn't work. That's really usually the thing. There is a period of time that you got to put in tremendous effort of doing work, but ultimately we got to be designing the outcomes we want and having other resources, other people do it. So at the Mastermind, what I'm going to be teaching is this process of the throttle, how to shift from doing work to designing outcomes. That's the big takeaway.
I love that. And then in so doing, I just actually, it's interesting that you brought that up. I just wrote a Facebook post about hope. Like, that is not a business strategy. Like, I hope one day that all of this will be enough that I can take a paycheck home, or I hope one day that I'll be able to live my ideal lifestyle, and be able to, get out of the hustle and grind. And let's talk a minute about, at the Mastermind, how is a mastermind so different than just another seminar?
Yeah, so a mastermind, as you know, it's a collective input, and it's the best elements of each person. So it's not just one expert coming up and just kind of just lauding all these different ideas. Is very specific around a theme of an outcome we want to achieve, and it's the best elements. I'm bringing the best elements I have, and so is every other presenter. But it's also the collective. This is, I would argue, is the more important part. It's the collective genius of the group. Yeah, when I go to a mastermind of like-minded people in the similar or same industry that are looking to achieve an outcome, I can ping pong around that group and say, how did you do this? How did you do that? And get this collective input that I would never get on my own. So literally years, if not decades of knowledge can be gleaned in hours if you access the group. That's what a mastermind provides that, a traditional, stand-up presentations don't.
I think of like stand-up presentations like theory, right? Where mastermind is no.
Practical.
This is the recipe. Like, you know what? We changed it. Instead of a half a cup, we found that using 3/4 of a cup made a tremendous difference.
Yeah, you get the how-tos, right? So yeah, traditional presentations are very much based upon theory, potential, hypothesis, ideas. It's like going to college, in my opinion, and the professor pontificating ideas, but then you get to the real world and say, this stuff was applicable maybe 25 years ago, but it's not anymore. A mastermind is the current most applicable tips down to the minute that are brought to the table that, like you said, you can execute on because they're how to do this, and you'll get that.
So if you're just joining us, Mike gave a really great litmus test. And that is, if you've been doing the hustle and the grind for a year and you're not seeing the needle really change a whole lot in your business, it's really evident that we've got some broken systems, right? We've got to move from just doing to design. Let's compare that though, Mike, to the person who's like, I'm hustling all of the time and their business is growing and they're still doing the hustle. Is that who you're speaking to here?
Yeah. So yeah, that person too. So there's two types of hustlers. There's the hustle and fizzle. That's the one like I'm pushing, but the business is fizzling. And then there's the ones that hustle and get results, but they become blind to the fact that the only way they're getting results is through their own effort. And therefore, the only way to continue to get results is through more effort. And there's a certain point that becomes exhausted. You expire all of your internal resources and drive. So there's an end game. There's a point where it's just going to not work anymore. So the mentality I'm going to get people through is transitioning from doing the work to designing the outcomes, from realizing that if you work your tail off, you can make $200 an hour, but you have to work your tail off. Or you can make $10 an hour, I was just picking a random number, if someone else does the work. But here's the benefit. You don't do any work at all. You could sit on the beach and make $10 an hour on one other person doing work. Which one's more valuable? And at first you may say, and many people say, well, $200 an hour, I need the money. I say, well, what if that one person that makes $10 an hour turned into 5 people now? So you make $50 an hour on automatic. Right. Now it's like $50 an hour, 24 hours a day, not doing anything versus 200 work my tail off. Now the thing starts to flip. Then when I say, what about $10 an hour times 100 people? What if you're making $1,000 an hour on automatic? What would you do? And people are like, of course, $1,000 without doing anything. That's what I want. Well, the only way to get there is by starting with that first transition where someone else or something else is generating that $10 automatically. That's the throttle. You have to first make the commitment and understanding there's much more value in organizing resources, people, tools, things to drive your chiropractic business forward as opposed to doing the work. Once you understand that philosophically, then we start the transition of the automatic operation of your business to ultimately the business is far in excess of what you could ever do on your own.
Nice. I love that. So it's really the epitome of work smarter, not harder, right?
Right.
And so let's look at this in like real practical sense, right? Because one of the challenges with chiropractic, it is very difficult to scale because it's an adjustment. Like I have to touch you to deliver an adjustment, right? So the doctor who's listening to this and thinking, okay, sure, I can be on a beach, but that means I have to have an associate in my practice. And now all of the, like, I can't remember who I was talking to the other day about if you don't have a plan for your money, regardless of how much money you make in your business will gobble that up. And I think one of the things I always loved about your message is it's not just like, oh, keep grossing more, because then this machine, at the end of the day, you're just taking the same amount home. So help docs see like the design element and the scalability in a business, because you're like, okay, Mike, but I'm not making widgets. Like just adding more time.
I'm not a manufacturing business.
Yeah.
So here's the interesting thing. I would actually argue at the end of the day, we're all manufacturers. We may not be manufacturing widgets, but we're manufacturing outcomes. We're creating outcomes. And so we have to understand that we do go through a manufacturing process, a sequence of events that bring about that outcome, a healthy patient. Now, the first step is to extract yourself from the administrivia, the low benefit, high activity work. So, I'm doing all the invoices. I'm doing the insurance submissions and the claims and stuff. All that stuff we first peel off of you and we move you toward what we call the QBR, which is the queen bee role, or the key function that your business distinguishes itself on, which is probably hands on backs, right? Then we move you toward that role. Then the next step is to start extracting you from even doing that, where we bring in the associates or others. But by alleviating all that other administrivia, if you will, we can elevate the billable return, because all you have to do is put hands on backs. So you can hustle and grind, if you will, in that space for a period of time. But then we start transitioning by extracting you slowly from that. And then you transition into a designer. And a designer is who's organizing the associates, the administrative team you have to drive the outcome of your business forward. You might still be the grand greeter, check with patients, see how they're doing overall, and then assign the associate to them. And ultimately, you may fully extract yourself from the business. One, I think, fascinating example, while not in our industry, is still fascinating. I admittedly go to McDonald's occasionally. And when I go to McDonald's, I know I'm embarrassed. But I have made this a routine. I will ask the cashier, may I please speak with the owner? Not because I have a complaint. I'm just curious about the operation. And I've never once had the cashier say, oh, the owner's here. The cashier says, oh, I haven't seen the owner. Sometimes they say, I don't even know who the owner is. I remember one cashier said, oh, I remember the owner, they came in 2 months ago to pick up the money. That's what an owner does. They don't flip the burgers. They're not cooking the fries, and they're not in that glorified closet that they call an office. That's the store manager. The owner is one who invests in the outcome of the business, maybe manages multiple McDonald's, or owns, I should say, multiple McDonald's. That's what I think we can choose to aspire to. I'm not saying that's your dream. Your dream may be to have hands on backs, and that's what gives you joy, and you want to keep it a small business. That's okay. That's definitely acceptable. If that's what you desire, do that. But what I'm going to teach is, if you want to pursue the option of having the business run on automatic, having greater impact on your community, serving more patients, if that gives you joy, we're going to move you to an owner role, just like McDonald's. You're not going to be flipping the burgers, cooking the fries, or managing the store. We're going to get you managing the outcomes and really serving your community.
And that's like so much. I don't know why QBR is so difficult, but it really, I'm so thankful that I went through that training, and I'm excited to be able to help the docs at the women's boot camp and at the mastermind, of really dialing in, like, no. What is the biggest thing? Like, what is the one thing that you can do today, right?
Yeah.
So by doing it, everything else becomes irrelevant or easier. Something, I want to just put pause on this for a second so that we aren't misunderstood here.
Yeah.
Mike and I are not saying don't be involved in your brand, right? Like, we're saying these other things that you can give individuals the opportunity to experience their very best in life, because they're a great chiropractor, they're a great CA, they're a great massage therapist in your office, they're awesome at insurance billing. Like, that is your duty, your responsibility, your obligation, is to find individuals that is their maximum expression. And then you go out and you build those relationships. You make, like, you're out there as the brand, right? Like Mike isn't like doing a bunch of it, like all of his social media and all that kind of stuff. He is out, he's writing, he's speaking, he is the face of the brand. If he was back in his office just creating stuff, like his social media or whatnot, then people aren't going to be able to see the brand. Same with my brand, right? Like, I can't do those little minute details, or the brand doesn't grow. So it's really, like stepping and replacing yourself, and then don't go back. I think that's the difficult thing, is that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that trap. I'll share the mastermind in absolute detail, but there's this trap called the deciding trap. And over 95% of small businesses are afflicted by this. And as a result, it restricts them to 3 employees or less. The basic essence of this is where we control decision-making. Now, a lot of people think they're delegating work, assigning to other people. When they're not delegating work, they're actually task rabbiting. They say, hey, you go do this, you go that. Those people come back with questions. I was told to do invoicing. I have a question. And we, the owner, answer the question for them. We give them direction. That's when we're controlling the decision-making. And you can't decide, we can barely make enough decisions for ourselves. Now we're deciding for other people. And it's been a human limit that we can actively decide for up to 3 people, including ourselves. So most businesses are limited to 3 people, the owner and 2 employees. And it's because we're controlling it. So I'm going to share a technique to break out of the deciding phenomena, or I shouldn't say phenomena, but the deciding kind of wiring, and move on to the true form of delegation, which is more than the assignment of tasks, a lot more than that.
And this, like, for all of you, this is how you get your team to take personal responsibility for the outcome, not the task, the outcome. And like, so often, you've talked to them too, like, I wish my team cared about my brand. I wish my team cared about my practice.
Right.
And I find it's in this thing where you really help them see their way through to the outcome, not the task.
Yeah, and I'm going to, so a lot of people come to me and say, Mike, I wish my employees would act like owners, right? Act like me. I wish I could get a clone of myself. I'm going to give you the exact strategy to do that when you attend the mastermind. There is a way to do it. There are companies that have this reputation of excellence that people line up to work for. Chances are that's not your business. And the question is, why not? Well, it's because we're not using this strategy. So I'll explain. It's called dream alignment. That's the tip I'll give you for now. But we're going to work on that. Once I discovered this technique at our own business about 2 years ago, we've been implementing it. I actually may write a book about it, but I do speak about it in the Clockwork presentation. And I would argue my colleagues here have unmatched drive and commitment. And our little business, we have 14 employees. Our little business here outpaces our competitors that have 2 or 3 times the staff that we have, because we understand dream alignment.
I love that, dream alignment. You're only going to find out about it
at the Mastermind.
Mastermind.
And I would argue this one tip alone, once implemented, will have a prolific impact on your business if you implement it. And it's easy. And I'll give you the answers how to do it, but you got to be there. So that's my little cliffhanger.
There we go. I cannot wait. So October the 26th, Life University, 6 to 8 o'clock. Mike Michalowicz and I are doing a mastermind, and we want you to come. Male, female, chiropractor, CA, business owner. You don't have to be a chiropractor. These are going to be principles that apply to business as an entrepreneur. So Mike, as we say goodbye, any last minute words you want to leave everybody with?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think it was Woody Allen who said 90% of success is showing up. I think it's showing up at the event. There's no question. You've got to be there. You will learn more than you've ever learned. Show up to your business in a new way. If we want change, what got us here won't get us there. And I just want to challenge us to show up to our business. Once you go attend this event, once you learn something, even from our little webinar here, I'm sure you got a tip or two. Take it and show up in a new way to your business. That will define your future. Don't return to the old you. That's the risk we run.
Amen. I love that. Like tomorrow's problems aren't solved with today's knowledge, right?
Correct.
Awesome. Hey, thanks everyone. We really appreciate you being with us today. Please share this and grab your seat at the VIP Mastermind, October the 26th at Life University. Mike, thanks so much.
Thank you, Barbara. See you all.
All right, see you. Bye.
Bye-bye.